Hey guys, Tyler here. Welcome back to an episode of Race Mania here on BeamNG Drive on the Road Atlanta circuit. Now starting up front today is the first of the new cars, and it's a stanced Pacima. But given the Pacima's track records, either for this version or the older one, they usually don't last very long, so not expecting too much from this car. And in second place, quite the way behind it because Pacima has terrible acceleration, is not the Bolide 350, and I'll explain why in a second. It is the second of the new cars, the Vendetta. We have had it before as a pizza car, but this one is much faster in terms of straight line speed and has pretty good acceleration, hence why it's starting so far back. And in third is the Ford Falcon. Then in fourth is the Bolide V12. The reason I moved this thing further back is because this thing is just a block. And because it starts up front and it gets hit out of the way immediately, usually, but because it's literally just a block, it survives. So I'm hoping that with a faster one, more damage can be dealt out and done to this car. And just to have something more interesting with this car, instead of it just being a brick that survives every time because it's really slow. Then at the back, the car that needs to win, the drag Covet. So remember to comment down below which car you think is going to take victory. Honestly, I think it's going to be the Bolide because it's still got that good strength, but it's also now got more speed as well. And getting on board here now with the Pacima, you can see how quickly everything else is gaining on it because it's that slow off the starting line, and it's catching up to it. To be fair though, the Vendetta took its time to catch up. Well, again, that's already put the boot up, and then there comes the Falcon to get involved now, and then you got the Bolide just hanging back a little bit, surprisingly, and oh dear, what's happened here? The Covet's going nowhere. Well, it's on random, so there's nothing I can do about that. The Pacima's actually going to get sent round. The Pacima coastal side is going to continue. This thing's front wheel drive, so it needs to protect those front wheels. Going hard into the wall like that early on is not how it protects those front wheels. And you've got a bit of a gap for me now because with the Vendetta's good acceleration, it pulls away a little bit from the Ford Falcon, and the Bolide still just seems to be waiting for it, and the Covet is still going nowhere. I don't know what's wrong with it, but now the Pacima has decided it's going to go in the wrong direction. And this car is no slouch either in terms of a front-running car. This thing I think can do somewhere around 117 under my control. So if it had the Bolide 350 still, it wouldn't have been that much slower. It's pretty much on the same speed as what the Hopper was, and that one around. So that was definitely not the worst car we've ever seen. Now then, Vendetta's still leading in pretty much pristine condition, although it's actually quite a bit smaller than the Ford Falcon. I mean, the Falcon may be a bit overscaled or something like that. I'm pretty sure a Chevy Corvette, which is what this car really is, the Vendetta, isn't that much smaller than the Ford Falcon. Now then, the Covet still isn't going anywhere, so I think that may be out even before it's literally gone anywhere. And well, the radiator's gone in the Pacima, but it's still in a position to get through to the next round as things stand because, well, it's not in last. And the Bolide's finally decided to now actually do something. It's now caught up with the Falcon proper now and made a big contact with the back of it. This is allowing the Vendetta with its good acceleration to actually pull away a little bit. Oh, there we go. The Covet's finally decided to come to life. Maybe you just give yourself an extra challenge by starting about half a lap down near enough. Still got quite a way to catch up to the Pacima, but with how much faster it is, it shouldn't take all that long. And then the Vendetta looks to be having it all its own way so far in front. Although the Falcon is going to try and have something to say about that, but so far it's not really been able to do all that much to the Vendetta to try and put it off and take the lead of the race. I can say you can push it all it wants, but the Vendetta, with just little nudges like this, because the Falcon, being a muscle car, is quite twitchy on power, so you can't go for an all-out attack and maybe end up risking taking itself out as well in the process. As the Covet's now just got itself finally into the first corner, and the Pacima is just crossing now the official start-finish line on the Road Atlanta circuit. So I don't think it's going to be in fourth for too much longer. And still it's the Vendetta that leads now, coming through the S section. And to get the onboard as well. It looks like fairly, it's saying about 50 miles an hour, so I think the odometer is just a little bit off to what the car is actually doing. It still was pretty accurate. They're actually, surprisingly, they're dropping the Bolide a little bit. I mean, you think with how much power this thing has, but then again, a V12 in a just a literal block rear wheel drive, it's going to probably be a bit tentative through the corners, but I was hoping it'd be all over the back of the two cars in front of it, a lot more than what it actually is. And I still can't see the Persima in screen yet behind the cover, so Persima's barely made most of its time here in 4th place, and with the stanced wheels, you think if it rubs side by side with something, that might do quite a bit of damage. Also, since the Covet has its rear drag tyres sticking out as well, so that could be quite the recipe for disaster for those two cars. And now the Falcon makes a little bit of a dodge on the Vendetta, but the Vendetta just shrugs it off like nothing happened. These three cars seemingly very evenly matched. They're coming now under braking for the second to last corner. Literally, you could throw a blanket over these three cars. Literally, just probably not even 0.2 of a second separating the two cars. It's still the Vendetta doing a good job of soaking up the pressure, as the Bolide now has finally caught up to the back once again and using its good acceleration out of the corner, which is where it has the advantage. But now they're coming down the next straight here, the start finish straight for the second lap. So where the advantage comes back to the Falcon, actually makes a bit of a nudge, actually takes out some of the rear brake lights on the Vendetta, but I think that's the first bit of damage that's really actually been done to the Vendetta. If you don't count a little bit down on the start where it ramped up the back of the Persima. And still can't see the Persima in shot yet. And you see the Comet from behind, still not quite. I mean, if the hill wasn't there you could, but still. Persima, surprised, actually still in 4th place for time. I thought the Comet would have caught up easily by now. And the Ford Falcon going for a few nudges here on the Vendetta, but the Vendetta just soaking up the pressure pretty well. And surprisingly, both of them dropping the Bolide, so the Bolide is still using all of the speed that it has available to it. Because he has quite a bit more straight line speed than the two cars in front of it. And finally now the Comet's caught up to the Persima. And the Persima, let's see now, it's front wheel drive, so it's not going to be, well, it shouldn't really oversteer because everything goes through the front wheels and it gets shoved out wide into the final corner. It runs out very wide into the final corner, and it's just going to let the Comet go completely straight past. I mean, that's what the Persima curse has returned. The Persimas are just terrible, no matter which one I choose, they always end up being horrific. Now then, coming up into turn 1 now for the second time. It's still the Vendetta that hasn't... Wait, it had a little bit of a lead, but into the braking zone, the Falcon definitely a lot better on the brakes. Maybe it's just a plan for these three to work together here to try and get through into the next round. Because the Comet's got to make up half the straight before it even catches up to these three cars. And then he's got to find a way past all of them as well. And these three cars are quite a bit heavier than what the little Comet is, so as things stand, we're going to be looking at a new fastest car for the next round. Still the Vendetta doing a good job of just soaking up the pressure and the little nudge, because the Falcon's really not doing anything. I mean, you've seen it before, the Falcon hasn't got any pushing ability because it ends up usually just backfiring on itself. And the Bolide's still just chilling behind, I don't know why. Not even using its like ramp ability with how the front of the car is just actually designed. Like that should easily scoop under the back of the Ford Falcon. As Persima in last place finally makes it into turn 1, but smoking quite heavily, so don't know if the thing's actually going to make it around to the finish line, but as things stand it doesn't matter anyway, because it's in last place and will be eliminated, so there'll be another new first place car they'll need for the next round as well. Now then, into the SE section now for the second time. For the leading trio, and the Vendetta is pulling away a little bit from the Ford Falcon. Of course, if things stay like this, we're seeing all three of these cars again in the next round, and hopefully they actually try and do something a bit more in the next round as well. But still, we've seen things happen before. I think it was a few videos ago with 3 overtakes for the lead through this SE section up to the finish line, so it's never over until you actually cross the finish line. Though things look to be fairly civil now between these three cars. The Bolide still, honestly, has been quite disappointing. I thought it should honestly have been a lot faster than what is actually going out right now. And the Covet still hasn't even caught up yet. I don't know what happened to it at the start, but whatever happened has looked to have been its effective downfall, because this thing literally has no damage to it. I mean, the front bumper's got a little bit of a dent, but literally everything on this car is near pristine condition. Unlike the Persima, which has literally been the only crash. And now here's the Bolide finally trying to do something now. Trying to make a way up the inside of the Falcon, but the Falcon with its weight, even though it got shoved offline, just able to carry on like nothing happened. Now then, can he make one final assault on the Vendetta to try and steal the win? Or is he just going to be content and let the Vendetta take the victory of this rather uneventful round really for the top 3? and the Corvette still hasn't caught up yet. The Corvette's out. There's no way, unless the front three implode into the final two corners here, which it could happen, but it's very unlikely since none of these cars' brakes are smoking or anything. These cars should just be perfectly fine to get up to the finish line. The Bolide giving a few nudges to the back of the Ford Falcon to give it a little bit of a hurry up, which then gives the Vendetta a little nudge. Coming into the final corner, it looks like the Vendetta is going to easily hold on to the lead now around the final corner. Actually pulls away a little bit as well. And then coming up to the finish line, is it going to be the Vendetta that holds on to a victory? Indeed it is. The Vendetta takes what, in all honesty, seemed like a fairly simple victory. Let's put that on stopping along here with the Falcon, which looks like it did just accept second place in the end. They both dropped the Bolide come the end, so maybe this Bolide isn't as fast as I thought it was under AI control, but the speed is definitely there for it to be faster than the two cars that finished in front of it. And then the Corvette couldn't even catch up. It's doing 89 miles an hour over the line. You get a feeling that's going to ram into the back of one of these few cars in front. They're going to break in. Oh yeah, it's going to a huge ram into the back of the Bolide, and just going to send the Bolide spinning out now into the wall. And yeah, that's done quite the dent to the back of the Bolide, but the Bolide, because it's a complete, just an utter unit, it's survived and would still be perfectly drivable. As for the Corvette, that probably would still drive perfectly fine as well. It looks fairly sad now from the front after that. And the Pacima is still actually going, so I mean, fair play to the Pacima, but it's managed to survive if it gets to the finish line. I'll probably just end up jinxing it now. The smoke isn't that bad, so I think it should be able to finish. On the Umber Hood, you can't even see all that much smoke from it. As we come now into the second class corner, I think it also looks fairly sad from the front as well. After it got smashed into the wall early on. Now then, going up now this little straight into the final corner, doing 40 miles an hour. And that looks fairly slow for 40 miles an hour. Going up to almost 50 miles an hour. So like I said, it's no slouch for a front running car. Now then, coming into the final corner now. Okay, there's a bit more smoke from the where the driver would be. Coming now over the finish line. How fast is it going to be going? 54 miles an hour. That's not all too bad actually, since it's the first place car. And was fairly damaged. Is it going to have contact with the Corvette? It's catching up to it. And the brakes have cooked, have they? No. On a few test runs, the brakes were literally smoking as much as the engine, but it stays fairly civil at the end. So the Vendetta, in near pristine condition, it's going to be the car that has to take victory in the next round if it wants to continue in these races. So remember to leave a like if you enjoyed this video, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you're new and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. Remember to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, they'll be linked down in the description below. So thanks for watching, I'll see you all next time.